Hello, this is my final presentation on the Odyssey by Homer. Homer is the presumed author of some of the most iconic pieces of literature shown in Western education. Some doubt his existence, while others believe that it was multiple people under one pen name. If Homer does exist, he is thought to have been around the 9th or 8th century before Common Era, and is a native of Ionia, which is modern-day Western Turkey. I chose the Odyssey as it was something that I hadn't seen in a while, and I enjoyed that I was able to reminisce some of my reactions to some events while learning some new things while reading it through once again. I also really like the way that it tells the tale of Odysseus and his 10-year-long journey back home to Ithaca after the Trojan War. This, of course, specifically being that it starts in the middle of the journey, where he is trapped on Calypso's island and has been for the last 7 years, then continuing from the perspective of Odysseus himself as he tells his story to the Phaeacians. Now, throughout the story, there are several themes, some of them being perseverance, pride, and temptation. The theme of temptation, however, is conveyed through the main character of Odysseus and his actions and choices throughout the poem, the symbolism of Calypso and what she symbolizes during his captivity, and the verbal irony of nobody along with the dramatic irony that is played throughout the entire epic. Odysseus being the main character of the Odyssey, as he portrays the theme of temptation through his actions, he's presented with a handful of decisions that could have prolonged his journey, and this is not limited to, but does include the sirens, Circe, lotus eaters, and hiding his identity once he does get back home. Of course, some of the more questionable things would be Circe, as he finds out that she laced his and his men's drinks. They all forget about Ithaca for a little bit, and he is only reminded of the journey back home by his men. And for the lotus eaters, he knew the dangers of what would happen when someone would eat them, and still he let his men eat them. Now, of course, it wasn't just all bad things. Some were good, some were bad, and a lot of things were out of his control, but overall, he still kept true and loyal to his journey back home. For the sirens, he was curious, but he took precautions. He made sure to keep his men safe, and while he was kind of kidnapped by Calypso, this was, for the most part, against his will, despite it being 7 years, and he did need intervening to escape, and he was not moved by Calypso's offers. And on the other hand, temptation is shown through Calypso's symbolism as he's stuck on the island of Ogygia, and Calypso is a goddess who has fallen in love with Odysseus, and she kind of just keeps him there. While her island is beautiful and it seems like paradise, and she herself is the embodiment of femininity, anyone would love to stay there and avoid confronting their problems. But the gods intervene, and Hermes delivers a message to let him go. While she does also argue that she's better than Odysseus's wife in several ways and offers immortality, despite knowing that he does not love her back and wishes to be with his wife. And eventually she does let him go, and it's a good thing that Odysseus chooses to leave even after all the things that she's offered him, as if he did stay there, it would have led for a pretty easy life. And he does love his wife, and he wants to get back home to her and his son. Now, on the other hand, some other thing that was probably not the best situation that best decision that he could have made is making fun of Polyphemus after he's tricked him. After successfully getting him and his men out of a tricky situation in a clever way, he mocks his aggressor, who just happens to be the son of a god who is the god of his main mode of transportation. This, of course, being the sea, and this is him falling into temptation and rubbing it into Polyphemus's face while being arrogant. And additionally, there are a number of instances of dramatic irony where the audience is in the know of something the characters in the story do not. For example, when Odysseus was on his way home, his son Telemachus is going out and in search of stories of his father, wanting to figure out if he's still alive, but Odysseus is already on his way back home. So being the audience, it's kind of ironic to see that if Telemachus had just stayed at home, he would have seen his father so much sooner. And another thing is that the audience only knows that Odysseus is the beggar, and everyone else just thinks that the beggar is just another suitor for Penelope. Now, everyone can fall into temptation. It's kind of a person thing, but luckily, like Odysseus, it can be a character trait that someone grows out of. The Odyssey shows the temptation in a number of ways, with Odysseus, Calypso's symbolism, and irony being a few of them, but overall, it helps show his growth to the audience as it shows his quick thinking, perseverance, and self-control. Thank you for listening, and these are my sources.